My mom already thinks you're coming. Noah said it like that settled everything. Like spending 7 days at a beach house with his entire family was the most normal thing in the world. I stared at him across the table, my coffee halfway to my mouth. You told your mom before asking me? Noah leaned back in the booth, completely unbothered. I knew you'd say yes. That's a terrible reason. Still worked. The corner of his mouth lifted, and my stomach did that stupid thing it always did around him. Tightened first. Dropped second. I looked down at my coffee before he could notice. The truth was, I wanted to say yes. That was the problem. A week with Noah sounded great in theory. A week with Noah's parents, siblings, cousins, and whoever else showed up every summer sounded dangerous. There would be nowhere to hide. No easy excuse to leave early. No way to stop myself from noticing every small thing he did. And I had spent the last 2 years getting very good at pretending those things didn't matter. Come on, Ethan. Noah nudged my shoe under the table. You haven't taken a real vacation in forever. I took 3 days off in March. You answered work emails the entire time. That still counts. It absolutely does not. He watched me for a second, expression softer now. That was always worse than the teasing. I want you there. My chest tightened. For words. Nothing dramatic. Nothing romantic. Just Noah being Noah. Friendly. Thoughtful. Completely unaware of what those words did to me. At least, that was what I told myself. You'll have your whole family there, I muttered. You won't need me. Something changed in his face. Barely. His smile faded, then came back smaller. Maybe I want you there anyway. For a second, neither of us moved. The diner kept buzzing around us. Plates clattered. Someone laughed near the register. Noah's knee was still touching mine under the table. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. Then he grabbed a fry from my plate like the moment had never happened. So that's a yes. I didn't say yes. You didn't say no. 3 days later, I was sitting in the passenger seat of Noah's SUV, heading south toward North Carolina with a suitcase in the back and a growing sense that I had made a huge mistake. He drove with one hand on the wheel, sunglasses on, music low. Every few miles, he adjusted the air conditioning because he knew I got cold easily. At the first gas station, he came back with my exact coffee order without asking. You remembered? I looked at the cup. Noah glanced over. I've known you 6 years. Like that explained why he remembered everything. Like it meant nothing. That was what I kept telling myself as we pulled into the driveway of the beach house that afternoon. It was already crowded. Cars everywhere. Kids running across the porch. Someone yelling from inside. Before I could even get my bag, the front door opened and Noah's mom rushed down the steps. She hugged him first, then turned to me and pulled me in just as hard. Finally, she said, laughing as she held my shoulders. The boy Noah never stops talking about. My body went still. Behind her, Noah stopped moving too. And when I looked at him, he was already watching me. For half a second, I forgot how to smile. Noah's mom was still holding my shoulders, waiting for a reaction, while Noah stood behind her with one hand on the handle of my suitcase. That sounds worse than it is, he finally muttered. His mom laughed. No, it does not. Then she turned back to me. Ethan, this family has heard your name at least once a week for 6 years. Heat climbed up my neck so fast I had to look away. Noah cleared his throat and lifted my bag. Okay, great welcome. We are going inside now. I followed him up the porch steps, trying not to read too much into anything. Noah talked about his friends. That was normal. Best friends mentioned each other to their families. It did not mean anything. The house was louder than I expected. His older brother, Mason, was carrying a cooler through the kitchen. His younger sister, Lily, was arguing with 2 cousins over bedrooms. His dad waved from the grill outside like we had met 100 times instead of twice. Chicago finally let you escape, he called. Barely, I answered. He grinned. Noah said your new manager has been working you to death. I looked at Noah. He focused very hard on setting my suitcase near the stairs. You told him about my manager? You complained about him for 3 months. To you. Noah glanced over, eyes holding mine just a little too long. Yeah, to me. Before I could figure out what that meant, Lily appeared and wrapped me in a quick hug. I knew you would come. Did everyone know before I did? Pretty much. Noah groaned. Can we stop making this weird? Lily looked between us, clearly enjoying herself. You make it weird. Dinner somehow made it worse. There were 11 people around the table, and I was placed beside Noah without anyone asking. His mom handed me a plate before passing one to her own son. No shellfish for Ethan, she reminded everyone. I froze. You remembered that? Of course. She looked surprised by the question. Noah told me after that restaurant incident. Mason leaned forward. The one where he drove you to urgent care? It was not that serious, I said. Noah's knee pressed against mine under the table. You could barely breathe. His voice came out quieter than the rest of the conversation. I turned toward him. He was not smiling now. For one strange second, everyone else faded into background noise. His hand rested near mine beside his plate, close enough that our fingers brushed when I reached for my glass. Neither of us moved right away. Then Noah pulled back and picked up his fork. Anyway, he muttered, he is banned from ordering for himself. The table laughed, and I joined in a second late. Later, while everyone cleared dishes, Noah's aunt asked how long we had known each other. 6 years, I answered. Noah was stacking plates beside me. Long enough that he knows everything about me. The words sounded casual, but his eyes stayed on mine. My chest tightened. I forced a laugh. Unfortunately. And you still came on vacation with me. His smile softened. That has to mean something. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Lily grabbed my wrist before I could recover and pulled me toward the hallway. Come help me with something. The second we were out of sight, she stopped and lowered her voice. So, she whispered, watching my face carefully. Are you two finally together, or are we still pretending? For a second, I thought I had misheard her. Lily stood there with her arms folded, waiting, while voices and dishes clattered in the kitchen behind us. We are not pretending anything, I whispered. Her eyebrows lifted. That is not what I asked. My stomach tightened. Noah and I are friends. Right. She stretched the word until it sounded like an accusation. Best friends. Exactly. Lily glanced toward the kitchen, then back at me. He talks about you more than he talks about anyone. That does not mean anything. He remembered the date of your job interview. He is thoughtful. He changed the entire family dinner reservation last Christmas because you could not eat there. I stared at her. He did what? Before she could answer, Noah appeared at the end of the hallway. Why do both of you look guilty? Lily smiled too quickly. No reason. That usually means there is a reason. His gaze shifted to me and stayed there. You okay? I nodded, even though my pulse had started climbing. Lily slipped past him, bumping his shoulder on purpose. You two should figure out your room before Mason steals the good pillows. Noah frowned. Our room. 10 minutes later, we were standing in a small upstairs bedroom with one dresser, one nightstand, and one queen-size bed. Just one. I stopped in the doorway. Noah looked at the mattress, then at me. I can take the floor. For a week. I have slept on worse. So have I. He dropped my suitcase beside the dresser. Ethan, I am not making you sleep on the floor. I did not say I would. That made him laugh, but it faded when neither of us moved. The room suddenly felt smaller than it was. Too quiet. Too private. Noah rubbed the back of his neck. We shared beds in college. Once. You were drunk. I was not that drunk. You tried to use my hoodie as a pillow. It was comfortable. I laughed despite myself, and some of the tension broke. Not all of it. Later, after everyone had gone to bed, I lay on the far edge of the mattress staring at the dark ceiling. Noah was on his back beside me, one arm under his head. There was at least a foot between us, but I could still feel the heat of him. You are going to fall off, he murmured. I am fine. You are practically hanging over the side. Still fine. The mattress shifted. Then his hand closed gently around my wrist. My whole body went still. He pulled me 2 inches closer. That was it. Barely anything. But his thumb stayed against my skin for a second too long before he let go. Better, he whispered. I swallowed. You did not have to do that. You would have blamed me if you hit the floor. Obviously. Silence settled between us again. Not comfortable. Not awkward, either. Something worse. Something that made me aware of every breath. After a while, Noah turned his head toward me. I could not see his expression clearly, but I knew he was looking. Why have you been avoiding me lately? My chest tightened. I have not. You stopped calling. Work got busy. You always call when work gets busy. I had no answer for that. He was quiet for a moment. Then his voice softened. I thought maybe you were trying to get away from me. I turned toward him without thinking. Our faces were closer now. Close enough that I could make out the outline of his eyes in the dark. Neither of us moved. Then someone laughed loudly in the hallway, and the moment snapped apart. Noah rolled onto his back. I faced the wall again, heart pounding, finally admitting one thing to myself. I had not imagined it. Whatever this was, he felt it too. By morning, Noah acted like nothing had happened. That should have made things easier. It did not. He was already downstairs when I walked into the kitchen, leaning against the counter with 2 coffee cups beside him. Without asking, he slid mine across the island. Extra cream. No sugar. I took it carefully, trying not to notice how our fingers touched around the lid. You know this is getting creepy. Knowing your coffee order? His mouth tilted. After 6 years? Knowing everything. The joke came out lighter than I felt. Noah looked at me for a second, and the smile disappeared. Not everything. Before I could answer, Mason walked in carrying a beach bag and ruined whatever had almost happened. Good. You are both awake. Mom wants everyone outside in 10 minutes. The beach was crowded, which should have helped. There were cousins running toward the water, his dad setting up chairs, Lily arguing with someone over sunscreen. Plenty of noise. Plenty of space. Somehow, Noah still stayed beside me. When I struggled to reach the middle of my back with sunscreen, he took the bottle from my hand. Turn around. I can manage. You clearly cannot. I faced the water and tried to breathe normally while his palm moved across my shoulder blade. It was practical, completely normal. Except he went slowly, like he was being careful not to miss a spot. His fingers brushed the back of my neck, and my chest tightened so fast it almost hurt. You are tense, he murmured. Cold hands. It is 84 degrees. Then maybe you are just annoying. He laughed under his breath, but his hand stayed on my shoulder after he finished. A second too long. Maybe 2. Then Lily called our names from the water, and Noah stepped away. I told myself that was all it was. Sunscreen. A friend helping a friend. Nothing more. An hour later, a wave hit harder than I expected and knocked me off balance. I barely had time to react before Noah caught me around the waist and pulled me back against him. My hand landed against his chest. His arm stayed around me. The noise of the beach seemed to drop out. You good? His voice was close to my ear. I nodded, but neither of us moved. His grip tightened slightly, almost protective. I turned my head. He was already looking at me. Not laughing. Not teasing. Just looking. My pulse jumped. His eyes dropped for half a second, then lifted back to mine. I stopped breathing. He leaned closer. Barely. Enough that I felt the shift. Enough that I knew I was not imagining it. Then Mason shouted from behind us. Should we give you 2 a minute? Noah released me so quickly I nearly lost my balance again. Everyone laughed. I forced one out too, but Noah did not. He walked back toward shore without looking at me. Later, during volleyball, Mason put me on a team with one of their cousins, Tyler, who kept joking every time we missed a shot. At one point, Tyler grabbed my forearm and pulled me into position. Across the net, Noah's expression changed. It was small, a tight jaw, a longer stare. He missed the next serve completely. You okay? I called. Fine. The answer came too fast. That evening, I went upstairs to grab my phone and stopped near the open kitchen window when I heard voices below on the deck. Mason sounded amused. Noah did not. You invited him here, Mason told him. You cannot act like this and expect him not to notice. There was a long silence. Then Noah spoke, low enough that I almost missed it. That is exactly what I am afraid of. I stood there longer than I should have, phone forgotten in my hand. Noah's voice stayed with me. That is exactly what I am afraid of. I wanted to walk onto the deck and demand an explanation. Instead, I went back downstairs and acted normal. By dinner, the whole family had gathered around the long table again. Someone opened a bottle of wine. Lily brought out a stack of cards and announced a game that was supposedly harmless. It was not. Most likely to, she explained, already smiling in a way I did not trust. Everyone points at one person. The first few rounds were easy. Most likely to get arrested on vacation. Mason won. Most likely to cry during a movie. Noah's dad protested when everyone chose him. Then Lily read the next card. Most likely to know Noah better than anyone. Every hand at the table pointed at me. Even Noah's. I laughed because everyone else did, but my chest tightened. That feels unfair. Mason leaned back in his chair. You know his coffee order, his passwords, and that weird thing he does when he is lying. Noah looked at him sharply. I do not have a thing. I glanced over. You rub your thumb against your palm. His hand stopped moving under the table. The room went quiet for half a second before everyone started laughing again. Noah kept looking at me. Too long. Like I had exposed something neither of us was ready to name. Lily drew another card. Most likely to call one person first when something goes wrong. This time, everyone pointed at Noah. Then his mother pointed at me. No. Noah calls Ethan. My stomach dropped. Noah looked down at his glass. Can we get a different question? Why? Mason's tone was light, but his eyes were not. Getting nervous? Just bored. Lily ignored him and pulled the next card. Her smile faded when she read it. Who here has been in love with someone and never told them? Nobody moved. The air changed. I stared at the table. Across from me, Noah went completely still. Then I felt his eyes on me. I looked up. He was not smiling. Neither was I. For 1 second, it felt like the entire room disappeared. Like he was waiting for me to say something. My phone lit up beside my plate before I could. A message from Daniel. The guy I had dated for 3 months last year. I did not even open it, but Noah saw the name. His expression tightened. He pushed his chair back. I need some air. Noah, his mother called, but he was already heading outside. I waited 10 seconds before following him. He stood alone on the back porch, both hands gripping the railing. What was that? I kept my voice low. He did not turn around. Nothing. You left the table because Daniel texted me. I left because the game was stupid. You did not even know what the message said. That made him look at me. His jaw was tight. His eyes were sharper than I had ever seen them. Are you seeing him again? My pulse jumped. Why do you care? Noah opened his mouth, then stopped. Behind us, someone moved near the kitchen door. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Because he hurt you. That is not an answer. His hand tightened around the railing. It is the only one I can give you right now. The only one you can give me right now? I repeated. Noah looked past me toward the kitchen door, like he was checking whether anyone had followed. Then he stepped closer. Keep your voice down. Why? You are the one acting like I did something wrong. I never said that. You walked out because another guy texted me. His jaw tightened. A guy who treated you like an option. That still does not make it your business. The words landed harder than I meant them to. Noah looked away, pressing his tongue against the inside of his cheek. For a second, I thought he might leave. Instead, he turned back to me. I know. His voice was quieter now. I know I do not get a say. Then why are you angry? Because I hate the idea of you going back to him. My pulse jumped, but I forced myself to stay still. As my friend, that stopped him. The porch light caught the side of his face. His eyes dropped to the floor, then lifted to mine again. Do not do that. Do what? Make me say something I cannot take back. My chest tightened. You have been doing this all week. You pull me closer, then act like I imagined it. You remember everything about me. You get jealous. You look at me like. I stopped before my voice gave me away. Noah barely moved. Like what? You know? No. He took another step, leaving almost no space between us. Tell me. I could hear my own heartbeat. Like I am not just your friend. The silence after that felt endless. Noah's hand lifted slightly, like he was about to touch my arm, then fell back to his side. And what if you are not? I forgot how to breathe. Before I could answer, the kitchen door opened behind us. Mason stepped outside, took one look at our faces, and stopped. Everything okay? Noah moved away so fast it felt like a rejection. Fine. Mason did not believe him. Neither did I. Mom wants dessert, he muttered, then went back inside. Noah stared at the closed door. We should go in. No. I caught his wrist before I could talk myself out of it. He froze. So did I? My fingers were wrapped around his skin, and neither of us pulled away. You cannot say something like that and walk off. His eyes dropped to my hand. When he looked back up, the confusion on his face was almost painful. I am trying not to make this worse. For who? His throat moved as he swallowed. For both of us. That is not an answer either. Noah slowly turned his wrist beneath my hand. For 1 second, I thought he was going to pull free. Instead, his fingers closed around mine. Not tightly, just enough to keep me there. Last night, he whispered, when you moved away from me. He stopped, breathing out through his nose. I did not want you to. My chest went still. Noah's thumb brushed once across my knuckles. And at the beach, I knew Mason was watching. I still did not want to let go. I stared at him. Every excuse I had made for him disappeared at once. Noah, I do not know what to do with this yet. His eyes held mine. Scared. Honest. But it is not just you, Ethan. For 1 second, I could not say anything. Noah was still holding my hand, his thumb resting against my knuckles like he had forgotten where we were. Then the kitchen door opened again. His mother leaned outside, smiling. There you are. Your father is trying to cut the pie without supervision. Noah let go immediately. The loss of contact felt sharper than it should have. Coming, he called. By the time we went back inside, his face had already changed. Calm, easy, normal. He joked with Mason, helped his mother carry plates, sat beside me without looking at me once. I told myself he was protecting us from questions. That made sense. It was reasonable. It still hurt. The next morning, Noah was gone when I woke up. His side of the bed was cold. Downstairs, everyone was eating breakfast while his dad talked about taking the boat out. Noah stood at the counter with a mug in his hand, laughing at something Lily said. He looked completely fine. Morning, I offered. He glanced at me. Hey, just that. No private smile. No sign that he had held my hand on the porch and admitted it was not one-sided. I sat across from him, feeling stupid for expecting anything else. Halfway through breakfast, his aunt brought up a woman named Caroline. You should call her when you get back, she told Noah. She was always sweet. Your mother still has that picture from the Christmas party. His mother waved her off. Leave him alone. Noah laughed, but there was tension in it. Caroline is great. We are just friends. You say that about everyone, his aunt teased. The table laughed. I did not. Noah's eyes flicked toward me, then away. Something cold settled in my chest. Maybe the porch had been panic. Maybe he had meant it in the moment and regretted it by morning. That happened. People got confused. They said things when emotions were high. I pushed my chair back. I think I am going to skip the boat. Noah looked up immediately. Why? Work message. You are on vacation. It will only take an hour. His expression tightened. Right. I spent the afternoon on the back deck with my laptop open and nothing on the screen. When the family returned, I heard voices, doors slamming, coolers being dragged through the hallway. I kept my eyes down. A few minutes later, Noah stepped outside. Are you avoiding me? I gave a short laugh. You have been avoiding me since breakfast. My family was right there. They are always right there. That is the whole trip. He ran a hand through his hair. Ethan, I am trying to figure this out. You looked pretty figured out when your aunt mentioned Caroline. His face changed. Is that what this is about? It is not about her. I closed the laptop harder than necessary. It is about you telling me this is real, then pretending it never happened. Noah looked toward the windows, checking for movement inside. That small action told me everything I was afraid of. You are scared someone will see, I whispered. Of course I am. The answer came too fast. My chest tightened. Noah saw it and stepped closer. Not because of you. It feels like it is. He went quiet. The ocean wind pushed his hair across his forehead, but he did not move to fix it. My dad spent my entire childhood telling me what a man was supposed to be, he finally admitted. My aunt has been trying to set me up with women since college. Half the people in that house think they know exactly who I am. His eyes lifted to mine. I do not know what happens if they find out they were wrong. Some of my anger faded, but not the hurt. And what happens to me while you decide? Noah flinched. That is what I am afraid of. Losing them. He shook his head slowly. Losing you because I am too scared to choose anything. I wanted to believe him. I almost did. Then voices moved closer inside, and Noah stepped back again. This time, I noticed. So did he. That night, I stopped pretending. Everyone else was inside playing cards, laughing loud enough that I could hear them through the open windows. I was down by the water, shoes in one hand, letting the cold edge of the tide hit my ankles. I had told myself I needed air. Really, I needed distance. From Noah. From the house. From the way he kept looking at me like he wanted something and backing away the second it became real. Ethan. His voice came from behind me. I did not turn around. You should go back inside. Footsteps pressed into the sand. Slow. Careful. No, I let out a tired laugh. You were getting pretty good at that word. He stopped beside me, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The waves filled the silence. Then Noah held out his hand. My phone was resting in his palm. You left this upstairs. Thanks. I reached for it, but he did not let go right away. Our fingers stayed around the same edge. His eyes lifted to mine. I did not come out here to return your phone. My chest tightened. Then why are you here? Noah looked back at the house. Warm light spilled across the deck. Shadows moved behind the windows. His family was right there. Waiting. Existing. Everything he was afraid to change. Then he looked at me again. Because you were right. I went still. About what? I keep pulling you close, then acting like I did nothing. His fingers loosened from the phone, but his hand stayed between us. I keep hoping you will understand without making me say it. That is not fair. I know, The answer was immediate. No defense. No joke. Noah rubbed his thumb against his palm. The thing he did when he was trying not to show nerves. I asked you to come on this trip months ago. I frowned. Lily told me. I did not invite you because there was an empty room. His voice dropped. There was never an empty room. I stared at him. Noah took a breath, then another. I wanted you here because I wanted to see what it felt like. What it felt like? You with them. He nodded toward the house. You at breakfast with my dad. You arguing with Mason. My mom remembering your coffee. You fitting into all of it. My heart started pounding. Why? He looked at me like the answer hurt. Because I have been trying to picture you in my life for years. The air left my lungs. Noah stepped closer. I knew I liked men before I knew what to do with it. I ignored it. I dated women. I told myself it would pass. His jaw tightened. Then you came along, and it got harder to lie to myself. I could barely hear anything over my pulse. How long? He gave a small, nervous shake of his head. Long enough that my whole family knows everything about you. I looked down at our hands. They were inches apart. Noah moved first. His fingers slid carefully around mine. No sudden pull. No excuse. Just a choice. I am still scared, he whispered. I do not know how to tell them. I do not know what happens after. His grip tightened slightly. But I know I do not want to go back to pretending you are only my friend. I lifted my eyes to his. Then stop. Noah went completely still. Stop stepping away every time this feels real. For a second, he looked terrified. Then he moved closer until there was almost no space left between us. Tell me I did not wait too long. You did not. The words came out quieter than I expected, but Noah heard them. His shoulders dropped like he had been holding his breath for years. I tightened my hand around his. You made it difficult, I added. A nervous laugh escaped him. That sounds fair. We stood there for a second, close enough that I could feel the warmth of him against the night air. Noah searched my face like he was still waiting for me to change my mind. I did not. I have wanted this for a long time, I told him. Probably longer than is healthy. His mouth lifted. Good. Good. Because I was starting to think I had imagined all of it. I shook my head. You did not. The silence that followed was different from every silence before it. No panic. No guessing. Just both of us finally standing in the truth. Noah raised his free hand slowly, giving me time to move away. I did not. His fingers rested against the side of my neck, careful and warm. Then he leaned in. The kiss was brief. Soft. A little uncertain. Nothing dramatic. But when he pulled back, he stayed close. His forehead touched mine, and he laughed under his breath like he could not believe we had actually done it. That felt real, he whispered. It was real. His eyes closed for a second. Okay. Okay. I am trying not to ruin the moment. You are doing great. That made him laugh again, and some of the fear left his face. We walked back toward the house, still holding hands. Halfway there, Noah slowed. The windows were bright. His family was inside. I felt his grip shift, not letting go, but uncertain. We do not have to tell them tonight, I said. He looked at me. You are sure? This is not a deadline. His thumb moved across my knuckles. I do not want to hide you. Then do not hide me. Just take your time telling the rest. He nodded once. Simple. Grateful. When we stepped onto the deck, Lily was standing by the sliding door with 2 empty glasses in her hands. Her eyes dropped to our joined fingers. Then she looked at Noah. He went still. So did I, Lily smiled. Not big. Not teasing. Just warm. Mom saved you both pie, she said, and walked back inside. Noah exhaled. That was easier than expected. Your sister has known longer than we have. That is probably true. At breakfast the next morning, we did not make an announcement. We sat beside each other like always. Noah passed me the coffee before I asked. His knee rested against mine under the table. Then, while his family argued about traffic and checkout times, his hand found mine beneath the table. This time, he did not pull away when Mason glanced over. Mason only raised an eyebrow and went back to his eggs. On the drive home, Noah kept one hand on the wheel and the other resting between us. I turned my palm upward. He laced his fingers through mine without looking away from the road. Does this count as our first date? He asked. No. It was 7 days long and involved your entire family. So a bad first date. A complicated one. He smiled. Still counts. I looked out at the highway, then back at him. Everything looked the same. Same car. Same coffee in the cup holder. Same person beside me. But nothing felt the same anymore. We did not fall in love on that trip. We had already done that. The trip just made it impossible to keep calling it friendship.